It is 12:37. You are listening to the Mid-Morning Talk on Salam Media with me, Mario Mukwanda. Awqaf SA is a charitable endowment or WAQF receiving organization. It invests endowment funds and spends only the income generated from investments to fund a variety of community development projects and programs promoting integrated community development and self-reliance. Now, Awqaf SA hosted the first session of WAQF Expresso Sessions last night, which was Monday, the 21st of March 2022 at 7 p.m. with almost 100 registered participants from Turkey, the USA, Malaysia, Nigeria, and South Africa. And to tell us more about these WAQF Expresso sessions, a bit of a tongue twister there. We have the CEO of Awqaf SA, Zeinoul Abedien Cajee. Assalamu alaikum rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, Brother Zeinoul Abedien. Shukran for joining me.
Wa alaikum salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. And thank you so much, Sister Mariam, for hosting me on this particular program.
All right. First of all, I'd like to start off by giving us a bit of an understanding. What is a WAQF and why is it important to understand what it is?
Okay, so to start with, I think just to understand the word waqf. So the word waqf actually means literally to stop or to immobilize. In many Middle Eastern countries, if you're driving on the street and if there's a stop sign, you'll see the word qif, which means stop. So essentially, from just a literal perspective, it means to stop or to immobilize. But from a Sharia perspective, it actually means to stop your ownership of your wealth. So it may be a few rands, it may be a property, or it may be a share in a property or something that you giving away from yourself to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So you would then stop your ownership of that particular wealth, and now the ownership belongs to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So the waqf becomes the asset that you have donated to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for some Sharia compliant purpose. And the waqf always remains permanent. It may not be consumed. You cannot make a waqf of, say, food, but you can make a waqf of a tree, because the tree stays there forever and the fruits can be used forever. So that's basically the distinction between a waqf and maybe other Islamic charities. So charities that you just spend is not a waqf, but charities that you invest in a capital asset, that is a waqf. So, for example, our mosques, our madrasas, the buildings that are now in the public space are waqf, but we don't have, say, for example, a shopping center or a block of flats that are waqf. Those could also be waqf. So it's important to understand this very important Islamic charity. It is a prophetic charity. It is something that the Prophet ﷺ introduced 1400 years ago.
MashaAllah. Now, tell us about the WAQF Expresso Sessions. What is it all about?
Okay, so bearing in mind that the waqf concept itself has been kind of under the carpet and almost disappearing in Islamic civilization. And this is due to various factors. So, for example, in Tunisia, it was completely banned. In other countries, it was nationalized by the state. And so the people on the ground lost contact with this particular type of Islamic charity. So what we're doing today, and we've been doing this for some time now, is to revive this concept of waqf, revive this new, not a new concept, revive this concept as an alternative to just giving charity in the form of consumption charity. This is productive charity. So, in the WAQF, or the yes, the WAQF Expresso Sessions, as you say, it is a tongue twister. It is really to get people to understand what the WAQF system is all about. And here we get thought leaders, experts from various countries to actually explore what WAQF is all about from their perspectives, and also to give us some concrete examples of what some of the WAQFs are. So, for example, we may have a talk from the founders of the Lockhart WAQF in Durban, or there's a very interesting one in Rustenburg in South Africa. And then there's very interesting ones throughout the world, and we will get people from around the world to actually talk about some of their examples of how they have actually gone about creating WAQFs, and how these WAQFs are actually supporting community development, community empowerment, and how is it actually sustaining the infrastructure that the community has developed. So we cannot have, for example, a mosque that is dilapidated, or an imam that is not getting sufficient income. We've got to have these structures, these WAQFs, that continuously support our structures and our infrastructure. So the WAQF Expresso Sessions are there to give insights into what the whole WAQF system is all about.
Mm-hmm. MashaAllah. So last night was the first session, and Alhamdulillah, it was well attended. Tell us more about the session. It was with Dr. Hatim Bazian.
Okay, so Alhamdulillah, Dr. Hatim Bazian is one of the founders of the Zaytuna College in America, a very progressive institution. And Hamza Yusuf is the principal of that college, very well-known Islamic scholar. And Dr. Hatim Bazian teaches Islamic law, Islamic jurisprudence, prophetic biography, economics, classical Arabic, Islamic history, contemporary Muslim thought, and all levels of Arabic. He's also a scholar of religion, politics, globalization, and his specialities include various things: Islamic law, Awqaf, fatwa text, classical Arabic. He's very passionate about Palestine, and he talks about, he's written a book on Palestine, something colonial, and he's actually done several studies, in fact, for his PhD, on prophetic WAQFs in Palestine, which I think was quite an eye opener for many of us. That was even before Hazrat Umar actually went to Palestine. So Dr. Hatim Bazian was our first speaker for our first session, and he really spoke about the concept of WAQF, and how it actually how important it is for us as Muslims to develop this particular system within our communities, and also delving into a bit more detail about, for example, we talk about state, how the state, and we have a typical example in South Africa, where the state is responsible for health, for security, for education, etc. Yet we have so many private institutions or private enterprises, private businesses doing this. So what is the role of the community in all of this? So he was talking about this, but if you've got maybe anything in particular that we would talk about, then we could go on. I don't want to dominate the discussion here.
All right, now, what were the highlights of last night's discussion or last night's session?
Okay, so as I said, he gave this example, one of the hadiths of the Prophet Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, a very famous hadith, which says that all our good deeds come to an end except three things. So, and when he talks about all these, all good deeds come to an end except three things, it means all good deeds come to an end when we pass on, except these three, which continue giving us rewards even after we pass away. So until the day of judgment, when Allah looks at our records, then the three things that we leave behind will be standing in good stead for all of us. So the first thing was about a sadaqah jariyah or a waqf that we leave behind. So a legacy that we leave behind will be one of those good deeds. Secondly, useful knowledge that we leave behind. So either we producing knowledge, or we teaching others, or all that scientific knowledge that we leave behind, inventions that we leave behind that are of benefit for humanity. So these are all the kind of useful and beneficial knowledge that we leave behind. Then the third thing was a righteous child that we develop, who does good deeds, who prays for us, and who in turn is involved in promoting good and promoting justice. And so if we have children that we develop, whether it's our own children or even as school teachers, and perhaps even yourself as a media operator, who are influencing people in doing good deeds, and especially our youth, then those deeds that they do will also be to our credit. So that was one of the first founding kind of statements that he made. Then he talked about WAQF as an ongoing, the ongoing charity, and forbidding the movement of this type of charity. So once you make a waqf, it is inalienable. It is, you cannot sell it, you cannot inherit it, you cannot gift it away to anybody. It remains Allah's property forever. Then he talked about the role of central government versus the role of social welfare, like community social welfare. And he said that there should be a kind of a balance between the two, that we look at the balanced role of central government. So central government, as we know here in South Africa, like I said, they have this responsibility for health, security, education, and various other matters that we are supposed to be benefiting from, and especially a country like South Africa, where there's a lot of poverty and hunger and so forth. What is our role as civil society? And WAQF being initially and has always been a civil society initiative, where people on the ground, as respondents to responding to Allah's command of actually looking after the poor and the needy and the orphans and the widows and all of that. So our duty, although central government has a role, we also have a role to play. And this is, these were some of the highlights that even if as Awqaf, we cannot be creating a stigma, or a person who is benefiting cannot be stigmatized, because all of us, one way or the other, we are all touched by a waqf system. So the fact that we go to a mosque, we are touched by a waqf system. The fact that our children go to a madrasa, we are touched by a waqf system. We go to some cemeteries, are actually waqf cemeteries. So we even get buried in a waqf cemetery. So one way or the other, all of us are touched by this. And so this becomes a very important economic foundation for the Muslim Ummah. and we actually even call it our community sovereign fund. So imagine if the community, we've got all this infrastructure, but if we have a capital fund of, let's say, 1 billion or 2 billion rands or something like that, and which continuously generates income to support various activities within the community and is of service to the community, not only to Muslims, but also to the broader South African community. So WAQF becomes quite an important economic foundation.
So these sessions are, well, very interesting and very necessary to have. And how many more sessions will there be? And for those who missed out on yesterday's last night session, where can they view it?
Okay, so people who have missed out on last night's session can view it on our Facebook page, on our Twitter handle. They could also look at it on our YouTube handle, and also the Instagram. So on all our social media, it is available, and you could also access it via our website, which is www.awqafsa.org.za, and the links to Facebook, Instagram, YouTube will all be on our website as well. So you could just access it through one link through the Awqaf SA website. Then how many more are we going to have? Well, we're planning at the moment to have these on a monthly basis, so people can join in. It's completely free of charge. Depending on the time zones of the various speakers, we can't say that it will always be on a Monday night. It will always be at 7 p.m. It just depends on the speaker and their time zones as well. For example, last night's session was 7 p.m. in South Africa. It was Monday night, and in America it was Monday morning, 10 a.m. So depending on what our time zones are, we will, we'll announce to everybody when we're having the next session and who is going to be our next speaker. So we'll have South African speakers, we'll have speakers from abroad as well, and we'll try to make it as interesting as possible for our viewers and listeners out there, inshallah.
Inshallah, I'm sure our viewers and listeners are looking forward to the next upcoming sessions, inshallah. And if there is a need for any further questions, I'm sure they can go to your Facebook and other social media pages or just to the website. Shukran so much for joining me, Brother Zeinoul Abedien, and for enlightening us about WAQF, especially the WAQF Expresso Sessions.
Okay, no, it's been a pleasure, and always a pleasure talking to you, Sister Miriam, and to the viewers of Salam Media. Jazakallah khairan. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Walaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Zeinoul Abedien Cajee, the CEO of Awqaf SA, talking to us about the WAQF Expresso Sessions. Last night they had their first session, which was understanding the economic foundations of WAQF with Dr. Hatim Bazian. And if you missed out on it, you can find it on their website or on their social media platforms by going to www.awqafsa.org.za or their Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, or Instagram social media pages. There will be more WAQF Expresso sessions, so don't worry. If you have any further questions that you would like to get answers to regarding WAQF, keep those questions, hold on to them, and you may ask the next guest. It will be a monthly basis, inshallah, and absolutely free of charge. You don't have to pay for anything. All you have to do is join the link and get some knowledge and insight as to what the WAQF Expresso Sessions is all about. It is at 12:57. You are listening to the Mid-Morning Talk on Salam Media with me, Mariam Mukwanda.